Welcome everyone. Today we are going to learn how to make selections, move elements, and activate grid snapping in promotionng. At the top of the Tools panel, you find a group of selection tools, and the most used one is the rectangular select tool. You can activate it with the shortcut M. If you press M again, then it will switch to the elliptical selection tool because they have the same shortcut assigned. I also have assigned M to the third tool, which is the freeform select tool. With the different tools you can select pixel areas on the canvas. As the tool names say, they either let you define a rectangle area or round area, and the freeform mode lets you freely define an individual shape. As with the drawing tools, you can hold the Control key to create a centered shape, and holding Shift key you can create squares. Once you selected something on the canvas, you can place your mouse on the selection and move it around. Like with the rectangle tool for painting, we also have the extended edit mode with the selection tools. This enables us to rotate or to precisely adjust the selected area before we finalize it with the Enter key. The freeform select tool has the option auto close that we have already seen with the freeform paint tools. It will automatically close the area when you release your mouse button. Another selection tool is the Magic Wand Select tool. If you also want this tool to be activated with shortcut M, then you can do that in the keyboard shortcut settings that we also had a look at before. Just enter Magic in the filter input field to find the tool. Double-click on it and hit M. When we now hit M, then all the four tools are cycled. The Magic Wand Select tool works similar to the Fill tool. We can define a tolerance to select similar colors. If no tolerance is given, then it selects all neighbor pixels with the same color. If we increase the tolerance, then more colors are included that are accordingly similar to the one we select. We can quickly select the clothes having the same coloring. When the isolated option is selected, only neighbor pixels are included. If it's disabled, all pixels in the whole image matching the color and tolerance are selected, like in our case the skin color. If you click to create a selection, then the previous one is discarded. If you want to add to an existing selection, then you can hold the Shift key. In contrast, the Control key will reduce the selection. Besides the selection tools, you can also modify the selection in the Layers window. If you hover over the visibility switch of a layer, you can see a lot of options when holding extra keys and clicking on that button. For example, holding the Control key will select all opaque pixels in the layer. Now that we know how to correctly select areas of our drawing, we will mainly use this tool for two functions. We select portions where we want to limit pixel changes to. Pixels that are not selected will be protected. The other main function is to select elements and move them using the Move tool. You can select it from the toolbox or just hold the Alt key. This will temporarily enable the Move tool. When moving, then you can additionally hold the Control key to create copies of the selected portion quickly. Another convenient way to create a copy is just using the shortcuts Ctrl and C to put the selection into the clipboard memory and Ctrl and V to paste a new copy. The Move tool also has an extra option, Auto Select Layer. If it's activated, then you can just click on a pixel and it will automatically switch to the layer where the pixel belongs to. You can see that the selected layer in the Layers window changes when I click on different pixels. The menu Selection also offers a wide range of extra functions for the selection. One of it is Invert Selection. It will make those pixels that are selected to be not selected anymore, and instead it will select all the others. This can be handy in certain situations. Up to now we only selected from single layers, but when you also select multiple layers in the Layers window, then the selection will affect all layers, for example when you move the pixels. Sometimes you want to have a selection to be inactive, but you want to use it later again instead of losing it. Then you can toggle the selection with this toolbox button, or you just use the shortcut Alt and M. Personally, I'd like to use the period key to toggle the selection. By default, this enables the color picker tool, which can also be activated temporarily with the Control key. I again go to the shortcut preferences, find the toggle selection tool and apply the shortcut I want to use. Now we leave the selection tool set behind and have a look at the snap grid. You can toggle the grid with the toolbox button or the shortcut G. By default, the grid also shows corresponding lines on the canvas so that you can see its alignment. In the settings for the snap grid, you can define if you want a visual display or not. The grid is made of rectangle cells and you can define their pixel size as width and height values. The values for align define the starting position of the grid cells. You can see how the grid moves when I modify these values. As you saw, I have some special alignment values. I used these to position the spotlights at the DS packaging sign of my post office. The grid is aligned to the sign and the grid helped me to place the spotlights at symmetric positions. The grid also helps to draw grid-aligned elements, because it will let the cursor position snap to the corners. The option dot lines will make lines, circles or rectangles to place single dots at the snap positions just as if we enabled their dotted mode. But to show some use case of the grid, I will directly use the Paint Dotted tool to draw the windows of the buildings. As you can see, I don't have to care myself about the correct placement of the pixels. I can just draw with strokes and use different colors for the windows. In the time lapse you can see that I duplicate layers and use copy functions that we have just learned to repeat the buildings on the layers. This way I can quickly create the impression of a city skyline. Maybe you remember the tutorial where we drew a brick wall with aligned brush dots and an anim brush. We can also use the snap grid to make the bricks align correctly. For this we need to make the grid cells having the same size as the brush. I pick the brick brush from the brush container and now I can use the From Brush button to make the grid use the brush size. We align the grid so that it matches our wall position at the bottom and then we can again draw the bricks perfectly aligned. Another option is inbound. When the tool snaps to grid positions, then it depends on the situation if you want to use snap positions within a cell or from one cell to another. For example, when grabbing a brush, then you typically want to grab complete grid cells and not some extra pixels of the next cells. With the inbound option we make sure that this is done correctly. When we disable inbound, then we also grab some pixels from the neighbor cells because the tool snaps there. The brush does not have the correct size and drawing with that brush on the grid will have wrong results. Sometimes I also use the grid to simplify positioning a brush within a scene. For example, I have a full screen animation and I want to copy an element to another frame. I could do this manually, but it can happen then I don't hit the exact position. As a trick, I just define the grid to be as large as the canvas. Then I grab the brush, go to the target frame and place it. That way it's at the exact same position because the brush grab tool and the Paint Dotted tool align to the single large grid cell. That's all for now. In the next tutorial we will have a look at symmetry drawing functions and the rest of the elements in Tool Panel. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in this series, then please like and subscribe.